Everything in this video is public information and the content in this video is intended for educational and informational purposes only. "39-year-old Andrew Rickards from Arden Drive, Ashford, Kent, TN 24. A paedophile who hid behind fake personas in twisted online chats to encourage a teenage girl to send him indecent photos and engage in sex acts ended up losing his marriage and friends. Canterbury Crown Court heard Andrew Rickards initially posed as a 14-year-old girl with the username Amy Bum to engage with the victim in January 2022. Under that guise of being Amy from Ashford, the pervert then introduced his second false identity, that of a man of varying ages called James, into his depraved communications. Having told the 13-year-old that James was 36 and would be driven crazy by her, Amy handed over his online account details for the social media platform Discord. The younger girl then contacted him, resulting in Rickards, who this time said he was 28 and kept details of his address limited to in Kent, indulging in what were described as sustained and persistent sexualized conversations over the course of several days. Undeterred by her age, these included him asking for photos of the victim wearing her school uniform and lifting up her top to reveal her bra, as well as inviting her to join him in bed and be Little Spoon. He also described himself as sexual dominant turned on by cute little girls, the court was told. Prosecutor Kieran Brand explained how at one stage Rickards posed as both Amy and James in the same online chat, asking if the girl was prepared to do stuff and have threesomes with them. There was even talk of taking her shopping at Ann Summers to buy sex toys. But the court heard the victim was also hiding her true identity, that of an undercover officer. And with the usernames traced to his home, Rickards was arrested in April that year. Police seized several devices, including a phone and laptop on which they found indecent images of children, extreme pornography, and other conversations in which he had used the Amy Bum profile claiming to be 14 and to have had sex with both men and children. Rickards, 39, of Arden Drive, Ashford, later admitted to 2 offences of attempting to engage in sexual communication with a child, 2 of attempting to cause or incite a child to engage in sexual activity, 6 charges of publishing an obscene article, and 1 of possessing an extreme pornographic image. He also admitted 3 charges of making indecent images of a child in respect of 105 stills and 25 moving clips, and depicting abuse across all 3 categories of seriousness. James Burke, defending, told the sentencing hearing on Friday, August the 23rd, that as a result of his offending, Rickards had lost his marriage and lost his friends. But his assertion that the defendant's paedophilic interest was linked to his poor mental health was rejected by Judge Simon Taylor KC. It may be convenient for the defendant to identify that link and may assist him in coming to terms with his offending, but on the evidence available before me, there is no link whatsoever, he said. He also dismissed any suggestion that Rickards could not recall his offending and said any anxiety he was experiencing was a consequence of him being caught. Jailing him for a total of 2 years and 10 months, Judge Taylor said the use of 2 different personas demonstrated sophisticated and highly manipulative offending. Rickards, who had sat in the dock shaking throughout much of the hearing, mouthed the word sorry to his father, who had attended court in support, as he was led away to start his prison sentence. On release, he will be subjected to indefinite sex offender notification requirements and a 10-year sexual harm prevention order. 62-year-old John Gilliver from Maidstone Road, Charing, Ashford, TN 27. A man who used secret recording devices to take images on a beach has been jailed. John Gilliver, 62, was caught using a pair of sunglasses and a neck chain with built-in cameras at Folkestone Harbour in July 2022. A search of his home in Chatham found further recording equipment and devices that included indecent images, including of children. Mr. Gilliver was also found to have secretly installed cameras at the home of a man and a woman he knew, in order to spy on them for purposes of his own gratification, police said. He was charged and pleaded guilty to making indecent images of children, voyeurism, and possessing an indecent image. At Canterbury Crown Court, Gilliver was sentenced to 1 year and 8 months in prison. He was also made the subject of a sexual harm prevention order. Following the sentence on Thursday, Detective Conjema Bell said Gilliver was a deceitful criminal who abused people's trust in order to carry out his crimes. She said she was pleased Gilliver had been jailed and that the sexual harm prevention order will protect the public following his release. 65-year-old Alan Morris from Poundhurst Road, Ruckinge, Ashford, Kent, TN 26. A convicted sex offender is back behind bars after he tried to engage children in sexual activity online while he was the subject of a court order. Alan Morris, formerly of Poundhurst Lane, Ruckinge, near Ashford, sent sexualized messages, including images of himself, to someone whom he believed to be a child via an internet chat site in February 2024. Morris stated that he was 65 in his message and also sent videos of sexual material to his online recipients. The conversations were in breach of a Sexual Harm Prevention Order (SHPO), which had been issued to Morris in 2018 after he was found guilty of previous offences. The court order forbade him from accessing the internet without informing the authorities, using devices without specific monitoring software on them, and a range of other online activities. Following an investigation by Kent Police's Paedophile Online Investigation Team (POLIT), Morris was arrested on the 8th of February 2024 when further examinations of his mobile phone uncovered indecent images of children, as well as recent sexual communication. He was charged later the same day. Morris pleaded guilty to attempting to engage in sexual communication with a child, 2 counts of making indecent images of a child, and distributing an indecent image of a child. He further admitted attempting to cause a girl to engage in sexual activity, attempting to cause a child to look at sexual activity, and attempting to engage in sexual communication with a child. Relating to offences also uncovered by POLIT, when Morris believed he was communicating with a child, October 2023. On Monday, the 1st of July, Morris was sentenced at Canterbury Crown Court to 6 years in prison, including a year's imprisonment for breach of an SHPO, with 4 years to serve on licence upon his release. 31-year-old Ben Murphy from Rate Green, Sittingbourne, Kent, ME10. A depraved sex offender who urged a young girl to sexually abuse her 2-month-old relative in exchange for £1,000 has been jailed. Ben Murphy, 31, also approached 2 girls while they were playing on the swings at a Sittingbourne park and made indecent suggestions to them which led them to run away. Murphy of Rate Green, Sonora Fields, Sittingbourne, also fled the scene in February last year but was arrested 2 days later after police spotted him on CCTV. He was charged with inciting a child to engage in sexual activity and remanded in custody before a court appearance. Murphy had already been due to attend court to be sentenced for several sex offences involving children between January 2020 and March 2021. During this earlier period, he had contacted 5 separate children who did not know him on social media platforms. Murphy asked his victims to send images of themselves, some in their underwear and others carrying out sexual acts. In one conversation, he incited a child to abuse their 2-month-old relative and offered to pay her £1,000. Murphy, who sent indecent images and videos of himself to the victim and asked for private calls so he could further engage in sexual abuse. On another occasion, in February 2021, he approached a further child in Sittingbourne Park and asked them to carry out a sexual act. The child refused and fled the scene. Murphy had been arrested for these earlier offences and had pleaded guilty at Maidstone Crown Court to 6 indictments of inciting a child to engage in sexual activity and 4 of possessing indecent images of children. Some of the images were of the most serious category. As he was awaiting sentencing and subject to strict court bail conditions, convictions. He went on to commit the most recent offences when he attended the park near Ballast Drive and Sonara Way, Sittingbourne in February. He pleaded not guilty to these later offences but was convicted on Friday following a trial to inciting a child to engage in sexual activity. Detective Constable Deniz Aslan said, "Murphy is a depraved individual who possesses a considerable risk to young children in person or online. He made vile suggestions and sent indecent images to his vulnerable victims who were very distressed of his actions." On Tuesday, August the 13th, he was sentenced to 6 years in prison, of which he will have to serve 2/3 before he is eligible for parole. On his release, he will have to serve a further 2 years on license. Murphy will also have to sign the sex offenders registry and be subjected to a sexual harm prevention order for an indefinite period.